is up, everybody? I'm Jason, this is Freebird Garage, and we are working on the Fxrt's paint again. This is going to be the next probably couple in this weeks to come because this is a multiple-step process to do, and it takes many days for it to cure. So this is essentially the second stage of the primer. So we shot it, it's dried over 48 hours, and now we are going into the imperfections and knocking down stage before we actually get a base coat on there and then to clear. So let's get into it. Let's check it out. The floating rear fender as it remains from the last video. I have it still hanging up. Want to show the exact process, nothing skipped. And we have a nice base layer of primer laid out. And overall, super stoked on how it all came out. My setup, not too happy with actually how it came out. Thought it was gonna work a lot better. My gun, which is partially apart, when I was coming up to it with the head on top of the paint, was knocking up here, so that's my own fault. I should have had this dropped lower, so I actually had to grab it and shoot it this way after the bottom was dried, of course. This is primer, so you can use your technique, you know, however you ever want to shoot it at this stage, because it's easier to sand it down, reshoot it in primer, and then go back around. Getting to this stage after clear or before your base, it is a lot of money wasted and a lot of extra labor hours to get back into the stage to clean it up. So overall, pretty stoked on it. I got some heavier spots up on top that I did. I'll show you guys when I get on the bench. We're gonna take this down off the setup. And I think overall though, it's gonna be good to be sanded down and get ready for its actual base paint and coating. So we're gonna go over that next. So let's get this dropped and see what it looks like up close. First off the bat, I'm super stoked on how this came out. This primer, filler, and sander is just awesome. All of the blemishes that we were trying to fix and take care of that I really was scared that would show through just did wonders on this whole deal. There was a dent, if you guys never saw that video, it literally was up there and it's fully smoothed out. Like, that's insane. Like, it sounds crazy if you're a professional body, you know, as the field, but like doing it myself, bending it out, denting it back into place, and then doing a light filler to get rid of the ripple marks, and now it's just gone. That's awesome. Like this is hard to come by on rear fenders, so to really bring this back to life, I'm super stoked. Everything came out awesome. The holes all had a little bit of dents in areas, all smoothed out really well. Both sides, right in there, came out beautifully. This is a primer and sander filler, primer, filler, sander. So pick these up right here, 600 to 800 right there, and we're gonna hit it with 800. I picked up 600 just because it didn't really take out some of the areas that I felt like were maybe a little bit too heavy up here. We'll hit it with that. That will give us enough wiggle room where it's not too heavy, and the main thing is not to leave scratches that the base coat will pick up on. So we're gonna start smoothing this out and see how it is and see what it looks like. Alright, so after hitting it with the 800, it seems to be too fine. We still got this wavy, matty look to the top here. So we're gonna hit it with the 600 instead, see how much more it goes down. So, good and bad. The rear fender is starting to take shape. We got a nice smooth finish on top, getting ready for that base coat. Bad news, I still have a lot of sanding, and I already blew through all the sandpaper I got to do this job that I thought was going to accomplish it, and even have extra to do the front fairing. And I've already blew through all the 600, 800. That's 5 sheets a piece, 2 packets. We got 10 pieces that I already blew through, and that's like 12 bucks. So I need to move down to a 400 grit to really get on the sides here and knock this primer down. This stuff is thick. I bet you if I did one layer, it probably got away with the 600 to 800 and been done with it. but it covered up a lot of blemishes, and I wanted to make sure it was thick, and it said 2-3 coats, and I wanted to be able to sand more to not go through it. So I've learned that I'm gonna need to use 400 grit in this case scenario. All right, so let's dive into the front fairing and see where I messed up there and see how it came out. All right, let's jump to it. The famous Fxrt fairing, well, famous in my channel wise. I've been working on this, rebuilding this, putting it back to life all on my own, and it actually came out great for the first round of primer. I already noticed some spots I'm gonna have to retouch up. We got this area up here where the tape just rolled over a little too much, and I need to pull it back, cut back the strip right here and shoot up here, quick shot across and lay down a little bit thicker up here, cover that up. But overall, all the side pieces that we cleaned up from the damage scrape from the accident that probably was in on both sides blended beautifully with this primer. It filled it in great. Awesome, really stoked on how that is. Even down here, we made some fixes. Can't even tell anything. Everything looks like it should from the factory, all blended in one piece from the ABS plastic. So love how that all came out. Now, the back side, I'll flip around to there. We have some dry spots. So that's essentially like the tail end or just not getting enough layer on the paint. Luckily it's primer, so we can go back, lay it again, and hit it down. But in this case, we're gonna have to hit up the back side, and there's some areas in here that just need a little more touch up to make sure they're covered up. So I'll show you guys the back side of what I'm talking about. These are the last pieces, at least as far as what I can see, that needed to be fixed up. There's a small divot here. This actually starts to smooth out, which was a factory defect in the plastic. So that's actually good. So we're gonna keep sanding away at that in the future. I got this side over here, a little blemish hole that didn't seem to seal up, and then up here as well. So we're gonna wait for that to dry here. Fingers crossed we can sand it and then shoot it, and then we'll see where that looks after that. All right. And we're back from the outside, all right? So I laid about 3 coats in total. The shot that you guys saw was my second coat. In this scenario, for primer on the outside at night, I had enough light for the spots that I needed. Otherwise, it really needs to be in a booth. Primer like this can be sanded down. It's all right if there's a bug mark here and there. It's gonna be sanded. That's why I did what I did. I would not do that for a base coat and clear coat paint. You're just gonna ask for a terrible, terrible paint job at that point. But anyways, to our point. So to fix our blemishes, the top part, I'm gonna show you guys so you guys can see up close. The front part, we got that all cleared up right in there. Nice and thick. I laid it thick so that it would have that lead blend back in, and it gives me enough room to sand down and get a nice ledge of where I need it to be and blend the layers in. So laid it down thick. Wouldn't recommend that with base. Just this primer that I'm doing. The shot was terrible. I can see overages and all that stuff, but this is just primer. So that's why I just have to reiterate that part. All right, so going around, more importantly, the inside, and bam, look at that, all smoothed out. These came out perfect. Look at that, bam, 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 reshots, bam. They look awesome. Smooth, no dimples, factory fixes. The factory Fxrt fairing had a lot of blemishes alone, aside from the crash marks that were on here. So coming out all right. So fairing is looking complete, well, without paint so far. That about wraps for me in this one, guys. If you have made it all the way through, I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button, tap that like, press the notification, leave a comment below and tell me what you think. And for those that are already subscribed, thank you, and as always, stay free. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.